Hello, Latodio family, and welcome to today's episode. We're so glad to have you here as we discuss a powerful book that holds timeless lessons for leaders, dreamers, and anyone looking to make a lasting impact. Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin. In a world that often feels divided, this book offers a masterclass in leadership, collaboration, and resilience. It tells the story of Abraham Lincoln's presidency and how he surrounded himself with his political rivals to unite a fractured nation. Sounds fascinating, right? Team of Rivals is not just about history, it's about leadership that transcends time. The themes and insights in this book are incredibly relevant today. Whether you're a leader trying to bring a team together, an entrepreneur navigating challenges, or anyone striving to build meaningful relationships, Lincoln's story shows us how to rise above conflict and work toward a common goal. And let's be real, we all need a little inspiration in how to bring people together during tough times. Today, we'll break it all down for you. We'll start with an introduction to the book, covering the historical context and key themes that make this story so impactful. Then, we'll go chapter by chapter, exploring Lincoln's journey and the lessons he taught us along the way. Finally, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways, practical lessons you can apply in your own life. It's going to be an episode packed with insights that can change the way you think about leadership, collaboration, and perseverance. So, get comfortable and let's get started. This journey through Team of Rivals is about to make a lasting impression on how we view challenges and opportunities in our own lives. Stay tuned for an unforgettable overview. Doris Kearns Goodwin's Team of Rivals. The political genius of Abraham Lincoln is a masterful exploration of leadership, resilience, and the power of collaboration in the face of division. The book chronicles the extraordinary rise of Abraham Lincoln from a self-taught lawyer to one of America's greatest presidents. What makes this biography unique is its focus on Lincoln's decision to bring together a cabinet composed of his political rivals, men who initially doubted his abilities and even opposed his election. Goodwin delves deeply into themes of humility, empathy, and strategic brilliance, illustrating how Lincoln transformed these opponents into allies to navigate the turbulent years of the Civil War. The book also examines the profound moral and political challenges Lincoln faced, including the abolition of slavery and preserving the Union. Written with meticulous research and a storyteller's touch, Team of Rivals offers insights not only into Lincoln's leadership style but also into the dynamics of power, loyalty, and vision. Published in 2005, the book has had a lasting impact, inspiring readers in politics, business, and beyond with its lessons on leadership and unity in times of crisis. For anyone seeking to understand what true leadership looks like under immense pressure, Team of Rivals is both a historical treasure and a timeless guide. Chapter 1. 4 Men Waiting. Let's start with the opening chapter. Goodwin introduces us to the 4 main figures: Abraham Lincoln, William H. Seward, Salmon P. Chase, and Edward Bates. Each of these men had their own ambitions for the presidency in 1860. What's fascinating is how different their backgrounds and personalities were. Did you know Lincoln was the least likely to succeed by conventional standards? He didn't have the prestige or wealth of the others, but his resilience and sharp political instincts were already apparent. Goodwin paints a vivid picture of the political landscape, showing how each of these rivals came to intersect with Lincoln's story. It's inspiring to see how Lincoln, despite being underestimated, leveraged his strengths and humility to rise to the top. The big takeaway here? Never underestimate someone with a vision and the tenacity to follow through. Chapter 2. The Long 18th. This chapter digs into Lincoln's formative years. He faced so many challenges: poverty, limited education, and personal losses. What struck me most was how he turned these struggles into a deep sense of empathy and determination. Goodwin emphasizes how Lincoln's love for reading and self-education set him apart. For instance, he would walk miles just to borrow a book. That kind of hunger for knowledge is a reminder that your circumstances don't define your potential. What do you think about that? Chapter 3: The Lure of Politics. Here, Goodwin shows us how each of the four men entered politics. Chase was the anti-slavery crusader, Seward was a skilled orator with a broad vision, and Bates was a respected statesman. Lincoln, in contrast, was known for his ability to connect with ordinary people. The part that stood out for me was Lincoln's early losses. Losing elections could have discouraged anyone, but for Lincoln, it seemed to sharpen his focus. His perseverance is a lesson in itself. Success often comes after failure if you stay committed. Chapter 4: The Gathering Storm. This chapter shifts to the growing sectional tensions in America. Slavery, of course, was the central issue. Goodwin shows how each of these men viewed the crisis and tried to position themselves as the solution. Lincoln's speech at Cooper Union in 1860 is a standout moment here. He carefully outlined why the federal government had the authority to limit slavery's expansion. It's such a powerful example of how preparation and logic can sway hearts and minds. Chapter 5: The Making of a President. What a pivotal chapter! The Republican National Convention of 1860 comes to life here. Against all odds, Lincoln secures the nomination. What's interesting is how he strategically appealed to different factions of the party. Goodwin also notes how Lincoln's team worked behind the scenes to manage alliances. It shows that leadership isn't just about ideas, it's about building relationships. What's your take on that? Chapter 6: The Masterstroke. After Lincoln's election, he does something bold. He invites his former rivals into his cabinet. Seward, Chase, Bates, and others initially thought Lincoln would be easy to control, but they quickly realized he was the real deal. The key lesson here is Lincoln's humility and self-confidence. He wasn't threatened by their expertise, he embraced it to strengthen his administration. It's a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Chapter 7: The Coming Fury. Now we're at the brink of the Civil War. This chapter captures the chaos as Southern states begin to secede. Lincoln remains calm and focused, even when everyone around him is panicking. Goodwin highlights how Lincoln's ability to stay composed under pressure was critical. He prioritized keeping the Union intact above all else. It's a reminder that leadership often means focusing on the bigger picture, even in the face of immediate crises. Chapter 8: The Fragile Union. Things get intense here. Lincoln officially takes office, and the country is falling apart. What struck me was how uncertain everything felt. There were no guarantees Lincoln's presidency or even the Union would survive. Goodwin highlights Lincoln's inaugural address as a key moment. He appealed to the Southern states with calm reasoning, urging them to avoid war. His use of phrases like, "the better angels of our nature," shows his faith in unity. It's a lesson in the power of words to inspire and defuse conflict. Also, Lincoln faced criticism from all sides. Can you imagine stepping into leadership with the odds so stacked against you? It's a testament to his resilience. Chapter 9: The Sum of Ambition. Here, we see how Lincoln navigates the egos within his cabinet. Seward initially tries to assert dominance, even offering to run the government for Lincoln. Talk about audacious. But Lincoln gently, yet firmly, reasserts his authority. What's amazing is how Lincoln didn't fire Seward. Instead, he earned his respect over time. This chapter really underscores the value of patience and strategic thinking in dealing with difficult colleagues. Chapter 10: Plodding Along. The Civil War is now underway, and Lincoln faces a steep learning curve as commander-in-chief. Goodwin portrays him as someone who is constantly educating himself, even reading military manuals to better understand strategy. One standout moment is how Lincoln dealt with General McClellan, who was hesitant to act decisively. Instead of letting frustration consume him, Lincoln focused on finding solutions, like appointing generals who aligned with his vision. For me, this chapter highlights how great leaders don't have to know everything up front. They just need the willingness to learn and adapt. Chapter 11: A People's Contest. This chapter focuses on Lincoln's ability to connect with ordinary Americans. He regularly visited soldiers, wrote personal letters to grieving families, and made himself accessible. Goodwin shows how these small gestures built trust and morale during a difficult time. It's a reminder that leadership isn't just about grand strategies, it's also about human connection. Chapter 12. The Emancipation Proclamation. A pivotal moment in the book and in history. Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation, but what's fascinating is the lead-up to it. He waited for a Union victory, Antietam, so the proclamation wouldn't seem like an act of desperation. Goodwin highlights Lincoln's political acumen here. He knew this move would redefine the war, shifting its focus to freedom and justice. It's incredible how he balanced morality with pragmatism. This chapter's lesson? Timing matters as much as the action itself. Chapter 13. This Damned War. As the war drags on, Lincoln's ability to manage pressure is remarkable. Goodwin shows how he dealt with personal grief, losing his son Willie, while still leading the nation. The story of how Lincoln supported Mary Todd during this time is touching. Despite their differences, he showed compassion and understanding. It's a reminder that leadership doesn't mean shutting out personal emotions, it means finding balance. Chapter 14. The Will of the People. Goodwin delves into Lincoln's re-election campaign during the war, a daunting challenge. Many thought he would lose. But Lincoln believed the American people would see the value of perseverance and unity. What I loved most here is Lincoln's humility. He was willing to step aside if it meant preserving the Union. That level of selflessness is rare and inspiring. Don't you think it's a quality we could use more of in leadership today? Chapter 15. The Final Weeks. This chapter is both inspiring and heartbreaking. With the Union on the brink of victory, Lincoln begins planning for reconciliation. He wants to heal the nation rather than punish the South, which shows his incredible foresight and humanity. Goodwin describes Lincoln visiting Richmond after its fall, walking the streets and talking to freed slaves. It's such a powerful image of hope and renewal. Sadly, it's also a reminder of what was lost when Lincoln was assassinated shortly after. Let's go through the main takeaways from Team of Rivals. 1. Leadership is about bringing people together, even when they're your rivals. One of the most striking things about Team of Rivals is how Lincoln chose to bring together his political opponents and place them in positions of power. He didn't surround himself with yes men or try to silence his rivals. Instead, he took advantage of their expertise and used their differing perspectives to strengthen his leadership. Think about it. How often do we work with people who don't agree with us? Whether it's in business, at work, or in personal relationships, there's always a mix of opinions. Lincoln showed us that the best leaders can find common ground, build trust, and use differences to their advantage. It's not about making everyone like you, but about finding ways to unite and work toward a common goal. Example: imagine you're working on a team project at work, and two of your colleagues are constantly at odds. Instead of taking sides, you could step in and encourage open dialogue, using their strengths to push the project forward. Like Lincoln, it's about building bridges, not walls. 2. Humility and empathy are powerful leadership tools. Lincoln's humility is legendary. He was never too proud to learn from others, whether they were political rivals or common citizens. He showed deep empathy for people, even those who didn't support him. This helped him earn respect and loyalty, which was crucial in navigating the tough decisions he faced. I think this lesson is huge. Being humble doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. People are more likely to follow a leader they feel they can trust and relate to. Empathy also helps you make decisions that consider the well-being of others, which is essential in any leadership role. Example: think about a manager who takes the time to understand the challenges their team faces instead of just issuing orders. By listening and empathizing, they build a stronger, more loyal team. That's Lincoln-level leadership. 3. Persistence pays off, even in the face of repeated failure. Lincoln faced numerous setbacks in his political career before becoming president. He lost elections, faced personal tragedy, and dealt with constant criticism. But his persistence paid off. He didn't let failures define him. Instead, he kept learning, improving, and pushing forward. This is such a valuable takeaway. Don't let failure stop you. Every successful person has faced rejection or setbacks. It's how you respond to them that defines your future. Lincoln teaches us that failure is just a stepping stone on the way to success. Example: if you're trying to get a job and keep facing rejection, it might feel discouraging. But think about Lincoln. He lost multiple elections but kept coming back stronger. Maybe each rejection is just another chance to learn and improve your approach. 4. Decision-making requires a balance of moral conviction and practical strategy. When Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, it wasn't just a moral decision, it was a strategic one. It helped weaken the Confederacy while rallying support for the Union cause. Lincoln showed that strong leaders know when to take bold, principled stands, but they also need to be strategic in how those decisions are made. This lesson is super relevant in business or life. Decisions aren't just about doing what's right in the moment. They need to align with the bigger picture. Think about the long-term impact of your choices, not just the immediate benefits. Example: let's say you're running a business and you know it's the right thing to pay your employees more or invest in more sustainable practices. But you also have to make sure these decisions won't hurt the company's financial health in the long term. Lincoln's approach, mixing principle with practicality, could help guide your decision-making. 5. Use humor to navigate difficult times. Despite the gravity of the Civil War, Lincoln often used humor to lighten the mood, even in the most difficult situations. It was his way of managing stress and keeping morale high. Humor can be a great way to deal with pressure, making it easier to connect with people and make tough situations feel more manageable. I love this idea because it shows that leadership doesn't always have to be serious and stoic. Sometimes, cracking a joke or sharing a light moment can help reset the energy in a room and keep things in perspective. Example: imagine you're leading a team through a tough project and everyone's feeling overwhelmed. A little humor can break the tension and remind everyone that they're not alone in the struggle. It's a powerful tool to keep things in balance. 6. Focus on the bigger picture, not personal grievances. Lincoln was often criticized by members of his cabinet, yet he kept his focus on the Union and the greater good. He didn't get sidetracked by petty rivalries or personal egos. This ability to focus on the bigger picture allowed him to make decisions that ultimately preserved the nation. It's easy to get caught up in personal issues or small disagreements, but true leaders keep their eyes on the long-term goals. When you focus on the bigger picture, it's easier to put minor conflicts into perspective and move forward. Example: think about a workplace dispute where two colleagues are constantly butting heads. Rather than getting caught up in their drama, the manager who focuses on the team's success as a whole can help everyone see beyond their personal issues and focus on what really matters. 7. A leader's legacy is built on their ability to inspire others. Lincoln's leadership didn't just affect his time, it resonated for generations. His decisions and actions shaped the future of America, and even his political rivals eventually recognized his greatness. His legacy is a reminder that leadership isn't just about getting things done, it's about inspiring others to keep moving forward. This is a big one for me. Leaders leave a legacy not just through their accomplishments but through how they impact those around them. If you can inspire others to be better, your influence will last long after you're gone. Example: think about a mentor who helped shape your career. Their influence might still guide you, even years later. It's the same with Lincoln. His leadership didn't just end with the Civil War. It shaped the future of the nation and inspired future leaders. Which lesson from the book stood out to you the most? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in to Litodio. If you enjoyed this summary and want to keep expanding your reading list with quick, engaging insights, be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe, and share with friends who love books as much as you do. We'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode, so feel free to leave a comment. We'll link to the book in the description. Until next time, stay curious.